Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Vincent. And Vincent has been wanting me to do this video for a while. I've been kind of putting it off. I had mentioned it before, but on the channel I had mentioned, how I've gotten into NASCAR and racing the last couple of years, and my driver's Kurt Busch, and I had mentioned that there was a story behind, like a kind of interesting story that kind of all relates to narcissism, the channel, and everything else of how I became a Kurt Busch fan. So, might as well do that now. So here we go. So back in 2015, like this is right at the very, very beginning of the channel. And I had brought this up. I was going into a couple chat rooms. One of them was on Pal Talk, which I don't use anymore, which is just terrible. But one of the rooms I was in, like everybody in the room was a huge NASCAR fan, and I really wasn't. But they were trying to get me into it and all. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch a race with you guys. I'll watch a race. So we're watching you got to pick a driver. I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, like, the cars all look good. You just don't know. So then I'm like, look, give me like a couple, so I watched, I don't even remember what the first race was, but I'm like, all right. Like, it wasn't terrible. Like, they were explaining how the strategy works, the pits work, all of that. The difference between a short track, a super speedway, a road course. When I said, well, when they go around and like on a road, they're like, no, they got road courses, and they, Sonoma and Watkins Glen, and now they added the Roval in Charlotte, where they turned that into a road course for the playoff race. So I'm like, all right. So it was right at that time, okay, that Kurt Busch, he had hooked up with Stewart Haas Racing. He was driving the number 41 car. And he got suspended. And he got suspended, apparently, for assaulting his girlfriend in his trailer. And he's denying it. And this is right around the time of the Ray Rice incident. And if you remember Ray Rice, I did a video on it. And I said I was done with the NFL because I saw all this coming. I saw all this shit coming with Ray Rice. And Ray Rice was a running back, and he was from Jersey. He played for Rutgers, but he was playing for the Ravens in Baltimore. And him and his wife got into an argument in a casino. Okay, emotional, back and forth. She spit in his face. He clocked her. He clocked her with his left hand and dragged her out of the elevator. They suspended him. She said like it was both ways. They didn't want to hear it. It was this whole... Meanwhile, Ray Rice hasn't played another game of professional football. So not only did they ruin his career, she's married to him. She stayed married to him. Said this was an emotional thing between a man and a woman. I spit in his face. I was goading him as well. Of course, he still shouldn't have hit her. But there's extenuating. Nope. And that's where like a lot of this Me Too really caught fire. And then they got Kurt Busch. And just on the accusation, NASCAR immediately suspended him. Immediately. And all of a sudden, you start hearing the accusations from the girlfriend and what a monster he is. And he's all pissed off because he hasn't won a race in 26 races. And yada, yada, yada. Like, these were the headlines. But I never had seen her. Until she went on Hannity one night. I'm like, all right, this is the girlfriend of the guy. And I'm watching her on Hannity. Now, I've interrogated people for 20 years. I mean, I could talk the truth out of anybody, and I know when people are lying. And I turned to Charlene, and I said to her, holy shit, she's lying about everything. That didn't happen. It's like, really? I'm like... None of this happened the way she's saying it's happening. Any of it. Like, the only thing I think she's telling the truth about is her name. And I think there's a story behind that, the way she answered. Like, Like, this is all fucking wrong. This woman is lying. I'm like, and I guarantee you, and I said it to Charlene, I guarantee you, because the police were, quote unquote, investigating, I guarantee you this is all going to come out to be bullshit and all come out to be a fraud. Well, lo and behold, about 10 days later, okay, lo and behold, 10 days later, what happens? The police say, yeah, there's absolutely no evidence of anything she says. There's actually exculpatory evidence to the contrary of what she's saying. Oh, and we're going to have to investigate her for other things have come to light that she's under criminal investigation for. I found out she was like identity theft and fraud and everything. She eventually got charged and convicted of fraud. So I'm like looking, like I go, and like I do whenever I get into something, I have to research, you know. So I look up Kurt Busch and his career, and I saw, you know, he's a champion. He won when they the first year that they did this point structure, okay, and he won with Roush Fenway in the '97, you know, Tupperware Sharpie car back then. And then he got screwed over with Penske because Penske wasn't maintaining their cars that they're running now for Keselowski and Logano. Okay, but he still won races. He still won races in the 2 car and the 22 car. I mean, he's basically won races for every team he raced with except for Furniture Row. And he could have won a couple races there, except because I've gone back and I've watched all these things. Like he had a shot to win Talladega before he flipped over on top of Newman. It's unbelievable how many cars have landed on top of fucking Ryan Newman. It is unfucking believable. And at the time, coincidentally, that car that he landed on top of, Newman was driving the 39 car, which then became the 41 car that Kurt Busch would eventually drive for Stewart-Haas, because that was a Stewart-Haas car he landed on when he was with Furniture Row. And then Truex ended up winning a championship with Furniture Row, and now Furniture Row doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, because they're a small team. So I was looking, so I looked up, you know, his information. I saw, you know, his age, you know, in his 40s, like close, like late 30s, like approaching 40. He was about the same age as me. Had a younger brother who is, you know, everybody knows his younger brother, Kyle Busch. Same age difference between like me and Precious and Kurt and Kyle, and you know there's a lot of similarities there. And Kyle, you know, for people who don't understand Kyle Busch is your stereotypical little brother of a 6-year age difference with a big brother. That's what it's that. It's a weird competitive age because you're big enough to try to compete, but you're small enough to still lose everything. And that's what probably drives Kyle to win every fucking race he can try to get involved in. So I saw all these similarities, okay? And how the police come back and they're like, yeah, he didn't do this. So then NASCAR immediately reinstates him, okay? And this is 2015. And during that time, his younger brother, Kyle, he wrecks in the Xfinity race and breaks, I think he broke both his ankles and broke both his legs. That year, he missed a bunch of races, only to come back and win the championship, which was crazy that year. So I see this, and I'm like, wow, like, they lied about this poor guy. They cost him 2 races. They were like, they demonized. They spent 2 weeks demonizing this guy, calling him an abuser and a woman beater, and on and on and on and on and on. Just trying to destroy this guy. Just trying to destroy, all on lies. And because the girl, when I saw her story was ridiculous. It was fucking absurd. And I looked at Kurt Busch at that point, and this is after the Ray Rice, and I'm like, if they can do it to him, okay, they're going to do it to they're going to do it, they're going to keep doing it. And my fear was, what's to stop some degenerate gambler, okay, from like, say, from the day before the Super Bowl, the week before the Super Bowl, to go and make accusations on the starting quarterback, on Tom Brady. And what's Roger Goodell going to have to do at this point? Suspend. Like, this is where the shit is going. That's where I saw it. So at that point, I saw everything they tried to throw at Kurt Busch. Everything they tried to throw at him. And he still was like, came through on the other, and he was like, no. And I saw all the lies. And at that point, I came back. I went back. I'm like, all right, I got my driver. And they're like, who? I'm like, Kurt Busch. And they're like, no, not him. Anybody but him. Because they hated him from his younger days when he was known as the Outlaw, because he was a dick. He really did some dicky shit, which I enjoyed, because that was kind of my personality as well. You know, just a fucking dick. And I appreciated that. And I explained why. I'm like, did you see what they just tried to do to him? I told you, and I said it on, I told them when I saw, I'm like, he's going to be found not guilty. I'm telling you, she's lying. I'm like, you don't do that to him. And I'm like, that's my driver. Because they tried to fucking hold him down. They tried to end his fucking career. Okay? Over nothing. And he came back. He ended up winning. He led in the next 2 races. He led more than half the laps. And then the third race back, which I think was either Dover or Pocono, he won. And I mean, he won by a lot. I mean, he was just dominant. I mean, those Stewart Haas cars were fast. I really wish he was still with Stewart. Honestly, I'm glad he won one with Ganassi, but I hate Kevin Harvick because he's such a fucking crybaby asshole prima donna. Okay, but Stewart Haas got a lot worse without Kurt Busch, and Kurt Busch wins everywhere he goes. Is he as good as his brother? No, and that was the other thing. The fact that he had this younger brother who fed off him, who obviously learned had the benefit, like me, had the benefit of learning from his big brother first, okay, to really learn, okay, and then take all that benefit to be the champion he is. I mean, Kyle, but it's crazy how good of a driver he is. So I kind of like it that the older brother is like a little bit of an underdog, because I get it. And Kurt Busch has been in the playoffs every time. He had a chance. He had his chance the last year with Stewart Haas, man. The second to last race, I think it was Phoenix, where Hamlin spun him out. At the end, he could have won that race. And he literally cried in Tony Stewart's arm, like, because he knew, like, that 41 car was fast. I had a real problem with Suarez getting that 41 car because I knew he couldn't handle it. I knew he wasn't ready for it, and no way did he earn that car. No way. Cole Custer, I feel a little different about, because he was in the Stewart Haas stable. Yeah, like Suarez won an Xfinity championship, and so did Custer. But Custer was a part of Stewart Haas in the Xfinity series, so it's a natural progression for him to get that, for him to get the 40. I'm glad they gave it to Cole after they got rid of Suarez. You know, I would have rather them got rid of fucking Boyer. Okay, because I think Boyer's a crybaby prima donna as well, and Harvick. Harvick's good. I'd want him on my team, but he's not as good. He's obviously not as good without Kurt Busch around. So it is what it is. So that's really it. I mean, I saw a lot of what they did in what happens to a lot of us. Okay, mob mentality, and try to ruin this guy at all costs. And you know what? I saw it and I said, you know what? Nope. That's the guy. That's the guy I'm rooting for. That's my guy. And then it's the way it's been ever since. So got a race now in 2 hours, and we'll see what happens. So nothing else has come in yet today. So like I said, the channel desperately needs support. So if you can support it, please do. You guys know what to do with the links in the description box. And if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to have a private video made, or you'd just like to make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance. Take care.